Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Chandra Stringer, the host of the Village Speaks Talk Show, and we are back. It's in the daytime, so other people are occupying other spaces, so you won't hear our intro music. Y'all know I want it to be hype, but I'm gonna save that to the next time, okay? But anyway, welcome and thank you for taking your lunch break with us. We came on yesterday to warn you to make sure you take your lunch break with us. So if you're not here now, I want to know where are you? But I look forward to us connecting for a short time today. I have my good friend and colleague back with us, and we have an extra guest with us today. So super excited to hear about what they're going to share with us today. I want to get a couple of announcements out the way, as we always do. Today at 4:30, we have our Blessed Boulevard Business Marketplace pop-up shop. We're so excited to have some returning vendors, Granny Bees, Angel Expressions, Unk Sauce, Nikki Jazzy Sweets, and we will have Indent Media with her new coloring books, and we'll also have a special guest with some sauce. I don't know if it's pork and chicken, chicken and pork. I don't know. I can't eat it, but they'll be here at 4:30. Make sure you come by, and of course, Foster's Barbecue is already here. And then Saturday, somebody say Saturday, and then Saturday, Nakia Clark will be here with Kia's Creations with those infamous cookies and all the other things that she make, as well as Mama J's with her household items. And then, of course, Sherwin will be here. We may have a few guests on Saturday, not for sure, but don't forget to be present. Be present. Somebody say be present. And then I'll send a link, put a link in the comment section about the other activities we have, because we have a very short time together today. And I want to allow the rest of the time for our guests to talk. So, all the announcements out the way. Now, let's dive in. Welcome to our special guest. And Khalil, if you don't mind introducing yourself, and then attorney Marlon, you can go next. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate you all joining us. My name is Kay Chapman, and I am a realtor with Keller Williams and also the CEO of the Pocketbook Consultants, and also founder of Power Your Legacy, which is an initiative under the Pocketbook Consultants where we help educate families. We navigate through probate, financial literacy, and we have also included our youth. So I'm extremely excited to be here so we can help fill in the gaps here. Thank you for having me, Sandra.
And then, of course, Sherwin will be. Sorry. Go ahead, attorney.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Chandra, for having me. My name is Marlon Bremer. I'm an attorney here in South Florida, practice in the areas of estate planning, business, and real estate. And my thrust or my focus is to ensure that your family is taken care of with everything financial. So we want to make sure that your legacy is protected, your family is out of court and out of conflict. And I've started this journey 17 years ago. Actually, prior to even going to law school, I was in the financial services industry and decided to gear myself back to this industry with some focus on ensuring that all families are protected. Look forward to talking about what we're going to be doing in the coming weeks, and hope for you to join us there.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for that. I was sharing some in some of the groups that I'm in. So if you see me looking down, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just sharing the different groups so people can hear this priceless information. And so, Kalia, we had an opportunity to share just a little bit on yesterday how you got started in the business. Attorney, would you like to share what made you get started in this industry outside of law?
Yeah, absolutely. So prior to law school, as I mentioned, I was in the financial services industry.
Mm-hmm.
And for one reason or the other, I decided to get on the regulatory side of things, having had some really interesting experiences
Mm-hmm.
prior to going to law school. And I did actually get on the regulatory side of things. I worked for the Florida Department of Financial Services, worked with the
Mm-hmm.
IRS for a little while, and then I went into private practice after having done a little bit of stint in the business world. And
Mm-hmm.
a couple of incidents occurred where there was a couple of deaths that I experienced along the way, and that
Mm-hmm.
includes some family members and some people who were pretty close to me. And I saw the effects that it had on families
Yes.
and how draining that is on their wealth and their wealth creation. And I
Mm-hmm.
decided to ensure that I tie all of my various experiences together so that I
Mm-hmm.
can protect the communities that I serve. So that's kind of how I started. I'm open to any other questions that you might have.
Okay. And so, Kalia, we had been talking about, wealth creation, wealth transfer, asset protection, working with families, trying to negate probate, and even for ones that find themselves in probate, how all of that works. So, for this event that's coming up, or before any other information you guys want to divulge before we talk about the event, what do you envision? What is your passion? What is your why? We know you're a realtor. We know you have other admirations of business things that you're doing in the nonprofit arena as well. What is your why?
Why really comes from like really being there and helping serve the people. I love
Mhm.
serving. Like even after my clients closing their properties, I'm calling them and they're like, "You've already been paid." I'm like, "No, like it's part of the relationship." And so
Yes.
what I love about what I do and being in partnership with Marlon and it's just understanding the bigger picture, right? Because we think of wealth as only it being monetary or something tangible, and it's a
Mhm.
lot more than that. So this has allowed me, again, as I shared yesterday, with my dad taking this journey, with our family taking this journey with him,
Mhm.
it allowed me to see that there are other families out there that needs us and they need the information, right? So I applaud you
Mhm.
for having us on this platform. I know Marlon can talk hours and hours about, the importance of estate planning, and Marlon was the one that did our trust. And so we definitely you respect him. He's like a whole new level attorney, but you have to be
Mhm.
ready. So if you're talking about really building that wealth, he is the person to go to. And Marlon
Mhm.
has a heart too, not only for just us, our generation, but also the youth. So I come to find that out, from the last event, and the children just enjoyed it. They
Mhm.
really, dived in, and even the parents, they were able to, uncover things that they didn't even know. So that's why it's really crucial for us to continue to get the information out. So I
Mhm.
named this Power Your Legacy, and that's just what it means. Power your legacy. Again, sweep in front of your own front door, get
Mhm.
your finances in order, and being able to continue to offer this financial empowerment to families, including my own.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, attorney, so Khalil alluded to that. Hey, you're our attorney up here, right? And so, he's like, "Oh, I am." So, but
Knows
a lot
that.
of times individuals, not all the time, but most of the time, individuals that need the information are not necessarily the ones that can afford the information, right? And when I say afford, meaning a trust, there are some expenses that come along with that. And then the other part of that is because I have an insurance background, yeah, a little bit in real estate. But a lot of times, absent of people not knowing, they don't do anything. Like if they don't know about an annuity, they don't be bothered. They don't want to be bothered with. They don't want to hear it. So,
Right.
what would be your approach to someone that listen? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't want to hear about it because this happened, that happened. What would be your approach to sharing with uh, um I don't want to say a challenging community, but a community that may not all necessarily always embrace talking about financial planning and forward thinking?
So a lot of these issues that I face on a daily basis, right? So it really has to do with understanding that person and that individual, their family, their dynamics, what influences their conclusions. It could be
Mhm.
cultural, it could be just a generational situation, it could be many things. It could be an economic circumstance, it could be a self-limiting belief, right?
Yes.
And I look at all the different facets that might influence someone's decision, and I try
Mhm.
to put myself in their position and open up the world of possibilities for them in that specific situation. I came from a family who, this is part of my story, had a tremendous amount of land, but to this
Mhm.
day we can't make a claim to any one of that because of it was a more of a cultural thing, like a generational thing as
Mhm.
well. Because I remember going to a plantation, just visiting a plantation when I was a child, and I would see the elders go off and kind of talk in secret. And so
Mhm.
the culture and the dynamic there was, children stay in one corner and
Yeah.
the adults go in the other corner. And a lot of times we realized the adults weren't aware of all the different
Right.
facets that could protect them. So now
Mhm.
that we're adults and we have some more information that we could share, we want to make sure that that cultural divide, that generational gap, is shortened. So I try
Mhm.
to find individuals where they are in
Yeah.
that spectrum and
Okay.
identify their specific needs and address it as much as I can. Do I always succeed? No, but I try my best to
Mhm.
educate as much as possible and fill those holes and answer the questions that they might have.
Okay, great. And I know it's so funny that the world is unique in itself.
Mhm.
Anytime that a group of people find out information and get educated and informed and start moving parts around, then it becomes a level of priority for most people.
Right.
What I mean by that is now banks are actually giving funding for heirs property programs. How
Mhm.
ironic.
Mhm.
How ironic. This has been going on for a long time, but now all of a sudden we see
Right.
funds and funding coming up all over the place because heirs property is this new catchy thing. So
Right.
how do you I don't want you to have to defend that because we have to protect our business. You don't want nobody thinking there's anything wrong or anything like that. But how ironic that is. Can you talk about some statistics or some numbers that you've seen most recently that have sent an alarm off to you to like, hey, we need to do more.
So as far as the heirs properties and the exposure of the information, where there is money to be made, especially on the bank side and the
Mhm.
professional groups, where there's
Yeah.
money to be made, there's going to be a push towards
Yeah.
that. And I've noticed even in social media, and there's more interest in trusts. There's more interest in trying to
Mhm.
ensure that certain gaps are filled. But in that very same push, we find
Mhm.
that there's a lot of misinformation as well, right?
Mhm.
And we want to get in front of that as quickly as we can or as much as we
Yes.
can and try
Yes.
to educate our clients as possible. But I do agree with you that there is a significant interest
Mhm.
in the powers that be to find the ways in way in front of clients. I
Yeah.
always tell my clients that there's a whole industry of folks who are interested in getting on the deed on certain properties.
Yes.
So I have clients all the time that are caught up in probate and they're equivocating on whether or not they're going to be making a certain decision and not
Mhm.
realizing how much time is of the essence in that
Wow.
whole decision making process. And
Absolutely.
while we have ears, and I've had that situation where we have ears are literally being courted by other
Mhm.
people who are interested in buying into that property and
Yes.
essentially becoming a broker in that interest in the property. So we need to wise up as a people, as individuals. We need to wise
Mhm.
up and understand that even though you don't necessarily own anything, maybe it's just dad who owns something or uncle
Mhm.
Tony who owns something, right?
Yes.
You don't know whether or not you might be in a position having to make a very serious generational wealth decision, like $1 million decision,
Yes.
right? So you
Yes.
have to be educated on that process and be aware that there are many moving parts. There's a whole industry of folks who are wanting to get ahead of you in that whole money making process.
Absolutely. So, Kalia, you had an event most recently. You guys have another one coming up. Can you talk about some of the dynamics that happened to the first one and why you're like supercharged to have another one before the end of the year?
Yeah, so we had our Power Your Legacy Youth Edition on Saturday, August 24th, and it was here at Keller Williams at our office in Port St. Lucie. And
Hmm.
we had speakers like Marlon, who spoke to our young adults about and parents about estate planning, probate, just the whole, wealth building component. And we also
Yes.
had Bruce Lewis, who came in and he hyped up the kids in the beginning, of course, with an icebreaker and just talking about how important it is for them to understand where they are now, versus where they're going. We had Dr.
Hmm.
Dante Thomas, who talked with the kids about transitioning from high school into young adulthood, because a lot of the kids, when they graduate high school, sometimes they just don't want to go to college. And, a career option could be, getting an apprenticeship or
Yes.
going to Palm Beach State College, learning how to become an auto mechanic or plumber, electrician, HVAC. So we had Career Source here as well. Career Source Research Post. They were here, and we just had a phenomenal time. The kids learned about scholarships, what life insurance. Yes, Tanya Franklin with the Sunshine Group Life. She was here talking about life insurance. So we just had an abundance of information, and it really just, I think it opened our eyes. Like, okay, this is where it is. And Marlon knows I called him after the event, and I was like, Marlon, like, how can we, continue this? And we both had that conversation, and, he was inspired, I was inspired, everyone was just inspired, because it really does start with our youth. And I would like, Marlon, for you to touch on why it is important for us to include our youth with what we're doing, because I believe we're bridging the gaps, right? We're bridging that gap. And so with our next event coming up November 2nd at the Embassy Suites in West Palm Beach, right off of Belvedere Road, that one will be from November 2nd from noon until 4.
Okay.
And we have our volunteers in place. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, we are looking for sponsorships, and I'll have that information on social media shortly. And also an Eventbrite link where you must register, because you will be accounted for. So I'll make sure I give you that link so you can share on your page too.
Okay, awesome. So, attorney, would you like to talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just continue to expound upon my experience as a youth, right? We were limited in the information that we had. And one of my pet peeve is to ensure that my clients are being as open and as candid as possible with all your kids, right? And so that's a discussion that's missing in most homes, and it needs to be had on a regular, ongoing basis. That if you want to take a look at whether or not the old statement that success leaves clues, you take a look at some of the most successful families. They've done this. They've been open. They've been forthright with how things are going to be going down. In fact, you can read it in the papers as to who's going to be getting what, as far as the wealth is concerned. There's a discussion that needs to be had. Even if we don't have much, we need to have that discussion, and that's how we're going to be. We bandy about the term generational wealth, and not realizing that the most important wealth is not necessarily the money, but the resources, the individual resources that we have. That my kids, right? Am I investing in my kids in a way in which that they'll understand how to handle the bounty that I'm going to be handing them, right? Have I made sure that they're equipped to take on those necessary responsibilities, plus the bounties that they're going to be developing over time, right? So it's important that we have these discussions with the kids, the children, the individuals that we know that are going to be taking on this responsibility. There's a old phrase that's going around lately that there is a wealth transfer, the greatest wealth transfer in history. And we're literally going through that, right? On varying levels. And it's important for us to prepare our children for that. We're living in one of the greatest times that we could ever live in. And maybe, depending on what you're thinking about, it's one of the worst times that we ever lived in, right? and I'm serious. You talk about statistics.
No, you're correct.
The average purchaser of a home, their age is 49. The average purchase of a home today, their age is 49. What does that say about the youth who are purchasing real estate, right? Young adults who are interested in purchasing and acquiring the one item that might just secure your wealth over time. That means it's getting out far further and further out of reach. So that discussion, again, it's very important. And I revel at any opportunity to actually sit and talk with any youngster. We were once youngsters, and I made some silly mistakes as well, right? And I share those experiences there. and just kind of open their eyes to the wealth of possibilities that even now, even given that negative statistic, they can take advantage of.
Yeah. And so you I'm gonna get to. I want to answer that question, but I'm gonna ask it last. But two questions. You use the word bounty. Now I
Bounty.
know what you mean, but really think young people gonna know what the word bounty is.
Bounty, yeah. All right. So the bounty is your all that you've acquired, right?
Yes,
All that
I
you're going to be passing on. Yeah. So yeah,
I
absolutely,
thought that was funny. Listen,
absolutely.
I'm waiting on mine. So I don't know where it's supposed to come from. And then the other thing, attorney, and thank you for being so candid and very simplistic. I tell individuals a lot of times we have to be mindful of the audience that we serve.
Mhm.
I am sure your intellectual knowledge of big words and 3 and 4 syllable words could be on display. And so I want to thank you for that, because my thing is always make it so simple that it don't leave people confused.
Correct.
And I want to
Right.
thank you for taking the time to do that. And then the other thing is, yes, you're doing this for the youth, but when can we expect something like this for adults?
Next
And
year,
I believe you guys can
2025.
answer it.
Well, the parents definitely can come. And what
Mhm.
we're
My
looking to do,
child is 28. I, so
Andrew's in Atlanta. Well, up until 21. After 21, that's it. But mainly high
right.
school
So I'm
students.
saying, when can we expect something like this from the adults? Yeah.
Next year, 2025. And we've
Okay.
talked about that Chandra series. So we will have
Yes.
a legacy series, and that's what we're working on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you know what? I don't want to get political. Everybody doesn't have a child, but this information is so vitally important. And I want to thank you guys for championing the cause, because it can be, a lot of times people feel like, listen, I got the information, my four and no more is good. If you want it, get it the best way you can. So a lot of
Mhm.
times individuals don't necessarily operate from a place of mental abundance, that when I get the information, I want to
Mhm.
share it so I can replicate it, so we all can, have the bounty.
Yeah, and the most important thing is, as an adult, you'll always have access to us as professionals, right? So
Mhm,
Kay is always available, myself is always available, but
mhm.
it's important for us to carve out some time
Yes.
for the younger generation, and prepare them for what's coming next.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm grateful that you guys are doing it, even multiple times in multiple cities. Because the last one was in Port St. Lucie, this one will be in West Palm Beach. So I definitely welcome and I know Kalia will send it to me the flyer so we can get it and every outlet possible, and definitely look for some means of sponsorships as well, because it's life changing. It's life changing, and so that's the main goal we want to hone in on and focus on. It is life changing, and I am grateful that you guys are taking up the mantle, because it can be a little daunting amidst all of your other things you have going on. So
Right.
taking up that mantle and being the changes you want to see in the world, and being that conduit that will have those conversations, that the youth would want to ask more questions, they want to get involved, they want to get engaged. And one thing I learned about youth, and it's even a marketing tool. If you want to get their parents engaged, get them first and
Mhm.
watch them go
Exactly.
watch them go back and reshare.
For
So
sure.
without any further ado, is there any other additional information you guys would like to share about your services? How can one reach you? And then anything that more we want to have a dialogue about in regards to that great day that you guys are going to have, the next event.
Okay, I'll go first. Again, I am a realtor, full time, licensed in the state of Florida, and I specialize in probate. Specialize in estate administration as well. So if you're looking for an agent, you have questions regarding probate or the distribution, if it's legal, I will put you in contact with Marlon, just so you'll know. But for the most part, when it comes to the sale of your property, a lot of times when you're going through probate, there's certain steps that you have to take.
Mhm.
And most people don't know where to start, And so I go in there with my contractors, and we literally do like a clean out if needed. We also have our dumpsters, and I have contractors who will offer service and get paid even at closing if you don't have the money to fits up your property before you put it on the market. So I do specialize in that. And usually I'm there with you with boxes and helping you organize so that you can get your home prepared to sell. So if you're looking for a full-time realtor, again, I love this space. I think it's very educational. I mean, I've gone into properties where we have maximized the heiress properties by just, enhancing them. And it doesn't take as much as people think it does. It just takes, the teamwork. And now, one thing I wanted to share too, Marlon, I have a question before I forget. I came across a situation where an heir could not finalize probate because they still owe the funeral home. Is that the thing?
Yeah, that's absolutely a thing. That's it's statutory for them to ensure that the funeral home is taken care of. That they have to show that the bills are paid by the for the funeral expenses.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So yes, that's important. It's just one of those small things that people don't know.
Mhm.
And that's why I love, the space that we're in, because we're really out here. I'm here, just really serving. And if you, again, have any questions, you can reach me at 561-281-2062, or you can email me at kchatman, that's KHAY, Chatman, CHAT as in Thomas, MAN, at gmail.com.
And you also can definitely put that in the comments.
I'm trying not to
Comments.
talk.
Hey,
I'm not
everyone.
a pro like you yet, Chandra. I'm trying not to. So I'll do it. I'll do everything afterwards. I feel like I'll disconnect myself. So I'll put it out there in a second.
Okay, Attorney Mario.
All right. So I again I'm in South Florida in Palm Beach County, but I serve the entire state of Florida, doing what I do: estate planning, business, and real estate. I also help with wealth planning as well, and I'm trying to pull up my contact information here. It is brammerfirm.com, www.brammerfirm.com, as well as I do have a couple of ways that you can contact or engage with us. That would be through our newsletter called Wealth Notes, as well as various webinars and teaching events that we might be involved with, so that we could educate the public. I will go ahead and share my information in the chat, but
Yes.
you can reach out to me at brammerfirm.com or 561-295-9110, 561-295-9110.
Okay, definitely put that in the comments because I. Yeah, if you send it to me, I can go back and put it into the comments on this thing.
Okay.
And this airs on my personal page, my the Village Speaks Talk Show page, and it's on YouTube. So we
Okay.
have the ability to do that on all those three platforms as of right
Okay.
now. And I really and truthfully, because I understand about, especially in the middle of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking after show in the middle of the day? But I promise, Kalia, I wanted to get this information out there. And what I've learned and I try to practice, we all have a level of influence. And so if it means that 5 people, 10 people, 15 people will get this information and follow up with you out of the 3, that's still a generation of people that we've helped. And so I want to say thank you for your efforts. Thank you for carving out time to be on our show. But I'm really excited about your event coming up in November and looking forward to seeing how we can best support it. Part of our Village Speaks Talk Show is always creating an awareness. We did that. The other part is how can the community at large help you to further your initiative? Can you speak on that? And then we'll be out of our space today.
Yes, of course. So we're looking to even partner with nonprofits for Power Your Legacy on November 2nd. It is a free event to the public, and we would like for it to remain that way. And you can help us, honestly, by we are looking for banks, financial institutions. And this is the reason why I'm so excited to bring this back home, because it's a network of people, in our hometown that I'm able to really, just share this experience with. And I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority. We're looking for all the D9, sororities and fraternities to bring their youth groups. If you have a youth auxiliary, we encourage you to bring them. And also, if you're a coach at a high school, I mean, anyone in the mentor space, we need your help in educating our youth and being able to share, I mean, just a great deal of information that they can continue to take with them. Because one thing I realized is that we're not teaching our children how to write a check, how to write a check anymore. I was talking to a class about this when we had home economics. And so these are the things that they're not going to learn in school. And so we're just giving a platform basically for families to come out and just, be able to learn and grow together. So nonprofits, I'm going back to Urban League, Chandra, just like, United Way. I worked at United Way of Palm Beach County. And so the nonprofit space is my background. So I will be reaching out, to my network for sure.
Awesome. Any last words, attorney?
Yeah, if you have a platform, however small, however big, that touches on children and influence children, it could be a YouTube channel. It could be, you could be a mom. You could be a dad who is a single parent, right? Whatever platform you have to use to influence children, come out and support us, or find us out and let us guide you in the ways that you can help us with this program. I think you're gonna get a lot out of it. Your children will not forget it. I promise you. That's my commitment to you. But they won't forget the lessons that are going to be learned from this experience. It's not just about wills and trusts and so on and so forth. It's so much more that goes into what requires the type of mental state for you to create and generate wealth for generations to come.
Yes. And Kalia, we forgot about something very, very important. You shared a little bit about yesterday. Will be a complimentary gifting of something on that day. Or am I correct?
Yes. Marlon has vowed to give a comprehensive estate plan, and he can share more with you, what that encompasses. So Marlon, I'll let you speak on that for sure.
Sure. So we're committed to making sure that one, you're there, and two, you're engaged, right? So we're going to identify that person and ensure that they are going to be getting a complimentary, at least a will, and we'll make sure that the estate planning documents are covered.
Okay. Awesome. Well, you guys, I want to say thank you. Now we have people commenting, and there will be people watching it later. So for those that are watching, please make sure you like, share, and tag. I promise you, we all know someone, us and our family and our friends and our colleagues, and even the people that don't like you. You know people that need this information. So
Absolutely.
please round up our youth so they can be introduced to this type of information, because we like to say the youth is our future. I'll say no, the youth is our now. They're not our future, they are our now. And so we got to make that investment. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. For those that took the time to spend their lunch with us, Kalia and attorney Marlon, thank you for your time. And this is Chandra Stringer. I am the host of the Village Speaks Talk Show. Right now, today, we're housed at the Inspiration Station in the beautiful city of West Palm Beach, Florida. We call this place Blessed Boulevard because there is no place like this place around this place. Why? Because we are blessed. And we want to see you today at 4:30 when you come out to support our local businesses at our bi-weekly pop-up shop. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, Chandra.
You're welcome.